In the last video I showed how to throw two small bowls, and I said they're the easiest shape to throw and they were really quick. This time I'm going to show how to do the second stage, which we call turning, and that's where you take the pot that's been allowed to dry to a stage that's called leather hard, and then you change the foot or the shape of the pot to what you want it to be in the final, when it finally comes out and you take it out of the kiln. In this case it's about putting the right shape and size to the foot that the bowls sit on and taking off any extra clay that we don't need. This is also a very quick process and easy process if you don't leave too much clay behind when you're throwing. I tend to throw to the maximum I can get out of the clay, and I don't tend to leave very much down the bottom of the pot when I'm throwing. And part of the reason for that is it makes it easy later on to what we call turn it. I don't know why it's called turning, but it is. And so the whole process is a quick and easy one, and that doesn't mean that it's a less process. It just means that you actually have less things to worry about when you're making your pots. So here's turning the bowls that I made the last time. First thing we're going to do we'll turn the wheel on. So we want to put the bowls back onto the wheel upside down, and we want them to stay where we put them. So I wet the wheel head and I put the bowl onto it. Before I do that, I need to get an idea of how thick the base is. If it's the right thickness, then I'm not going to take any more off it. If it's thicker than it needs to be, then I can turn a foot inside it. And like throwing the bowl, we need it to be centered. And as you can see, I've got that pretty down pat. People struggle mightily with that, just tapping it gently, mostly because they tap it too hard. Now again, I'm going to make sure that it stays on the wheel head, so I'm going to put sausages of clay beside it, not on top, but beside it, and that holds it steady. Now I'm going to use a turning tool that I made myself. This is metal packing tape, and it's very good because it's quite thin and sharp. And I'm simply going to remove the clay where it's too much. I'll put a shape there that I want it to be. I'm doing it over this side, which is a bit of a problem. I'll do it over here so you can see how it happens. Now I'm going to just even off the bottom. This clay that I'm using is a fairly gritty one, and I need to make the bottom smooth, and I'll do that in a minute. But you can see I'm not going to put an indented foot there because there's not enough clay. Now I make the foot on it, the shape of the foot on the outside. And shape the bottom part of the bowl. I want that to be an even slope there. I want it to be an even curve. And I also want it to be a nice looking curve. So that's pretty much it. And now I'm going to use a very special tool. It's an old barbecue knife. And I'm going to smooth that clay out, and what I'm in fact going to do is to burnish it. And by using plastic, it makes it very easy. I just run it across like that and it becomes very smooth and all the sharp bits just disappear. Now I can do this process, this burnishing process with the whole pot if I want to, and have a very smooth surface to the whole pot. And with a lot of particularly Japanese pots that are not glazed on the outside, this is what they do. Now that's pretty much the way that I want it. I don't take off any more than I have to, and there's the final shape. That's the final shape of our bowl. I'll do another one because I threw 2 pots, so I will turn 2 pots. Same process. I'll wet the wheel head first. See, sometimes that doesn't work, but mostly it does. Okay, so this clay's a bit hard for this, but it'll do. Same thing, just take off the first amount to make it smooth, just like that. I'll smooth off the bottom of it, and then I'll shape the foot. You can see it's not really centered, and that's okay. You need to get used to working with clay that's not completely centered, especially when you're doing this, otherwise you spend your whole time trying to work out how to center it. Burnish the bottom. Make it nice and smooth so it doesn't scratch people's wooden tables. And we're finished. You can see how quick and easy that process is, and when you add that to the fact of how quick and easy it was to throw the bowls, these are really good to make because you get a lot of them. You can do a lot of them very quickly, or you can get them very decorated and they're quick to make. So that's the second part of the process. Now they'll dry, and then I'll put them into the first firing, which takes it to 960 degrees centigrade, called the bisque firing, and then I take them out and I put glaze on them and put them back for another firing, which with the clay that I'm using goes to 1280 degrees centigrade. So this is the second part of the process.